What's up, everybody? It's Financial Friday, and you know this is our favorite day of the week where I get to get with my boys. We get to tell you guys all about what's going on in the financial world, the things that are going to help you for the future, and at the end of the day, hopefully drop a little bit of knowledge on you. So before we get started, as you guys know, or if you don't know, if this is your first time, uh, do not hold us liable. Okay, do not make financial decisions based off anything we say in here
Why you got to say it like that?
because because man, you know what I'm saying? It's just how it is. Like, yo,
What's liable?
don't do it like that. So don't make decisions because of it. All right. So we are here to provide knowledge. Otherwise, you can hit us up on the back end. You can actually be a client. We can actually give you tailored advice to what you need for your future. The second thing is the way that we operate here is that one of us will pick 3 articles each week that we think are important to talk to you guys about so you are more educated on what's going on in the world. This week was my week. So as I pull up the articles, gentlemen, how are y'all doing?
Go
I
ahead, G.
feel I feel good. I feel great, man. It's been a productive day. I had lunch with a couple potential clients. It was just kind of a genuine conversation and just talking about stuff that's going on in the industry. They were just like, "Wow, like, we really didn't know that." It's like, "Oh, okay, cool. Let's talk a little bit more." Uh, offline. So anyway, with that being said, man, it's been a very, very busy week, but productively busy. So really setting up some things. I was talking to Rico the other day, closing out 2023, got a lot of work to do
Mm-hmm.
after it. You know what I mean? So, I'm happy to be amongst the greats.
What's up with you, Rigo? How's your day going?
Man, training some new guys, just got them in, so we're dealing with that, growing the organization.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's been productive, man. It's been productive. I cannot complain. You know how you like when you're tired, but it's after you've done something, so you don't feel so bad. There's some people that just feel tired and they haven't done anything. You just lazy. But I I put in a little work, so it's okay to be tired. It's all good.
Words from the master.
You know.
Don't mind me. I have this cool little thing I get to play with right now, so you're gonna hear all the sound effects.
The tech guys back. Matter of fact, to our viewers who normally watch us on Facebook Live, I've been in charge of the tech the last 2 times, and clearly that was the reason why we weren't on Facebook Live. So we had to switch. So that's not my
We're back.
strong point, but I'm glad the guy's back.
Hey, I'm back, better than ever. So all right. So as we roll into this, guys. So this week was my week. All right. So the first article I chose was to talk about what everybody's talking about right now, which is Nvidia.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I was talking to a friend slash client of mine earlier, and that's one of the big things we talk about. We say, man, I bought some Nvidia, 8 months ago, and boy, is it amazing right now, and it usually is. So, for those of you who do have Nvidia, hats off to you for obviously either seeing the trend after the AI portion and or before it. Okay. Now that being said, I wanted to bring this up because the article is literally titled "Nvidia hype is fueling fresh FOMO." This is something that we talk about, and I've talked about specifically, is that we are living in an age where the retail investor can either make or break the market. There are no longer these gigantic hedge funds that are the only ones kind of controlling what is going on. We saw it with GameStop, we saw it with AMC, and right now, am remiss to say that we're actually seeing it with Nvidia right now too, because so many people are seeing the hype that's going on with Nvidia, especially after their earnings came out. That was what the big jump that they had was. And so that being said, as great as it is, be careful. All right, financial financial advice: be careful about hyping in on the FOMOs or the hypes, because everything will level out eventually. Okay, right now I'll show you the chart. I know that's Rico's thing usually, but I'm gonna show you the chart where back in August of 2022, Nvidia was $162. Boy, boy.
You said February?
August. So
Oh,
1 year. This is the
August.
1 year chart.
Yeah.
So a year ago, Nvidia was $162 last August. And so that being said, that has people questioning: do I get in now because it's going to go back up, or do I hold tight? to see what's going to happen, right? Obviously, based off the trend, it's going up, but there are a lot of things that can happen from now until later, especially people pulling their money out and taking their profits. That's another thing. So anyway, so y'all, what did y'all think of this article?
Go ahead, G.
Yeah. I liked it because it brought me back. I think February, and that's why I thought you said February. I remember February, January, February timeframe. I was doing a little project with picking stocks, and Nvidia. So this was kind of my introduction to Nvidia, and so it took me back to that. But I found this article very interesting, from a couple different standpoints, right? Like back then, $100 so dollars a share. Now is at 460, right? And so from an investment standpoint, there's things to consider, right? Like if even if you're an investor and you didn't invest in Nvidia, one of the things being, hey, do I invest in now at 460, right? Because there's so many variables that will happen even within the next 60 days. Am I willing to take that risk? Obviously, a lot goes in within that decision as well. But the Nvidia conversation is very, very interesting. It's like everyone's kind of jumping on the bandwagon who don't know enough about the fundamentals of investments, the fundamentals of stocks, or even specifically with AI or just kind of all that. So this was I enjoyed reading this read because like I said, it's really, I will say Nvidia, and obviously conversations with you two, Nvidia is probably the spark that really started driving me to learn more about the backside of the data piece of it. And so while being a fan of Nvidia from that standpoint, I learned a lot in investing and not investing, and investing and not investing regarding this particular company as a whole. So,
what you got, Rigo?
I think that Nvidia, obviously, if you look at the charts, you see year over year, I think it was like something stupid. It was like 140%, 141%, or something crazy.
Yep.
Ridiculous numbers. I would say I'd wait. This is just me. I'm talking about me and Cam. This is who I'm talking to them. I'm not talking to anyone else. I would wait. You've kind of somewhat missed out on when AI is in its beta phase right now, so there's going to be additional surges that end up occurring. I think what I will look at, if Nvidia obviously is continuing to grow, we talked about this maybe about a month and a half ago. The conversation is you have to look at me. I'm always looking at the back engineering, right? So what are the parts that make up everything else outside of it?
Yeah.
Well, let's look at Taiwan Semiconductor, right? The companies that are actually supplying Nvidia. And so if you look at that company, there's something that's going on right now where America's trying to, make sure that China doesn't invade Taiwan, because China's always trying to invade Taiwan. Taiwan is a Chinese province essentially that stepped outside of them and said, we don't want to be communist. We actually like America. We want to be democratic. We're going to side more with Americans. So they're always trying to take back over Taiwan. And so if you're watching that, I'm telling you guys how the socioeconomic plays in. If they take over Taiwan or invade Taiwan, that's going to cause issues. And then you might see a drop in Nvidia's price.
Yeah.
So what I would be betting against right now, or shorting, or my hedge against everything, I'd be investing in AMD. AMD is the secondary company, and they source differently than Nvidia. Just trying to giving people some, giving people a little shots here. The industry is going to continue to grow, right? AI is only going to get bigger. This will never go away. It's done. Don't try to, they said the internet wouldn't last. Come on, right? They said hip hop wouldn't last. Come on. Here we go. So this is one of those things. AI is not going away, people, ever. Yeah. It's here. It's been here, but now it's here. It's on the main stage. It's never going away. And so I would probably wait. Go back to the chart cam real quick before we go to the next one. Where are we at right now? It's 460. I didn't look at my phone.
460.
460. Okay. So I would look, if you see February 24th, 2023, it was about 233, right? Now, over the long haul, even before August of 22, if you would go back further, which you can't, but if you went back further on this chart, you would see a common kind of thread, right? There's space in between those two. That delta is kind of a little bit small. So I'd probably, if anything, I would buy back in. If it went back down to 170, or even 180, I'd buy back in. But it honestly, you should probably buy back in at like 230.
Yeah.
So if it gets back to that spot that it was in March of, oh, you went back. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then notice how, like, look at that price. It's
330.
go, okay, and then go to a little bit further back, a little bit further than 18. You see 21, yeah, because 21 is where 195. Okay, go back, keep going. Look at that, drops back down. But the major section, if we, I wish we could make the chart longer, but you'd have a good delta between that 130 to 230, right? So I would probably, if you want to catch a little bit of it, you could wait longer until like maybe 180 and buy back in. But like for me, I probably buy more if it drops down to like 230, I'll buy some more.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy it right now. I'm just letting it ride out. That's my take.
Gotcha.
AMD, man, that's the one I did get.
I'm just well, and I'm saying that because I know a lot of people don't think like that, but we have to really think about what are the factors that are going to affect Nvidia's growth. Well, if I source from Taiwan, Taiwan gets invaded, and there's a war in Taiwan, that's going to cause logistical errors. Okay, if that happens, AMD is going to grow.
Yep.
AMD second, so it's just things you got to think about.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
I don't know if hopefully folks caught it. Like, if you don't know how to read graphs, Rico just kind of gave you a 60-second class, a 60-second master class. So when you come on the Financial Fridays, man, definitely bring your notebooks because there are intentional gems being dropped throughout the conversation that could really help. Right, they could help you process things, especially when it comes to investments or kind of seeing how economics works, etc. So,
and me and Cam are different. We agree on the very base, like our foundational how we invest is very similar, right? Now the way we may read the charts is going to be different. Cam is more of a candlestick person. He's going to look at some smaller individual growths, more like on the trading type side of things, right? But the overall look of how the money that we want to make is very similar. We agree that okay, yeah, we like these, we don't like these. We hardly ever disagree on stock. And then Glenn's the AI man. So
that's his thing. I'm gonna need Nvidia and AMD and Google to and Meta to sponsor G.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
I agree,
together, bro. Right. As we move on to the next article I chose. So I chose this for two reasons, actually. One of them, which I'm going to speak on, that's not in the article, but I still think is a very important fundamental thing when it comes to Wells Fargo. So first off, pretty much, as we know, Wells Fargo has been in trouble many a times when it comes to how they treat their customers. And this is something that if you want to know more about, you can catch us on Money Mondays. Check it out. Non-shameless plug. Hit it with us. All right. But that being said, we talk about kind of trusting the banks and what you should know and should be able to pay attention to. Now, Wells Fargo was charged by the SEC. It says alleged, but we all know it's true. Because what happened was the agents who were the financial advisors.
Wait, say it again.
Financial advisors.
Oh, okay.
Which the three of us are not licensed fiduciaries.
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
So that being said, what the financial advisors were doing was making handshake written deals with the customer, saying, "Hey, I'm gonna charge you less fees to manage your account." So for those of you that don't know, when someone is managing your account, there are fees associated to it. Nobody's managing your money for free. Okay, in retrospect. Now, the problem is the difference between what me, Rico, and Glenn do versus what a financial advisor and other parties might do is that we don't get paid reciprocally whether you lose money or not. That's the thing. When it comes to financial advisors and a lot of other types of companies, they're getting paid no matter what off of your balance, whether that balance goes up or whether that balance goes down. And guess what? If it goes down and then they take their fee, what does it do? It goes down even more. So that being said, when they were talking to these clients, they were making handshake deals saying, hey, we're only going to charge you, 0.75%. When in reality, they weren't actually doing that. They were still charging the clients 1% or potentially even more, just to make the client feel warm and fuzzy so that they could get the contract and get their money in the bank. So, anyways, as we all know, with the uprise of technology and all these other things, the SEC was able to investigate and find all the wrongdoing, all the copies of the contracts, everything. So, that being said, they have reimbursed the customer. But one of the crazy thing is they said, oh, we fixed this problem back in 2002 to 2014. But like we talked about last week or on Money Mondays, when it comes to semantics, is the article strictly states that they saw charges up until last year.
Yeah.
So that's 2022, not 2014. So, anyways, that being said, now the second part of this, for those of you that haven't seen, Wells Fargo has actually talked about how they're going to get out of the real estate game because it's more beneficial to them for people to be renters, because what do? They own houses. So home ownership is becoming once again less of a thing of the past, and part of that reason is because there is less opportunity for things like this to happen if it's more of a turnover basis, because they've already noticed their agents are messing people up and getting them in trouble. So that being said, gents, what do y'all think? Said a lot.
So yeah, my thoughts are pretty spot on. Yeah, my thoughts are pretty spot on to yours. You actually kind of hit, essentially everything of what I absorbed in the article. Like, again, as I was reading, this is another one. I think I mentioned it last Friday or the Friday before, like where the numbers just didn't make sense, right? Like you mentioned, it mentioned that hey, we corrected this error, 2014, but here it is. In the same article, it mentions that just a year ago, again, there's still some errors.
Yeah.
And so, it was a nice, but again, from here you have a business who I feel at certain aspects are not transparent, right? Especially, and so that cover up is, it's sad, but it makes sense because of Wells Fargo has a history of the lack of transparency, right? When it comes to the client, a lot of the under the table type of stuff, right? I don't know that I've ever ran into a client, and even before I jumped into the financial industry, I don't know that I ever ran into anyone that had a Wells Fargo account or anything that like was just like, hey, this is it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm rocking with them for the next. This is it, man. So, yeah, like I said, my thoughts kind of align very similar to what you had just said.
The banks are always going to be predatory, and the corporate structure and the federal structure of the way that they're structured, right, and federal laws and bylaws and this type of things, right, it lends to the bank. Yep. And so the client or the customers will always lose out in this game, right? Until we start holding people accountable. And this is the whole push behind crypto, guys. And if you're trying to figure out why there's this big mash against crypto, which now Fed now, so they're kind of chilling because they just want to cancel everything but Fed now, basically. But that's why crypto came to be so important, right? Was because you were trying to get away from the centralized finance system, which was Wells Fargo, Bank of America, right? PNC, all those banks, because you're trying to get into something that you can control. These guys control so much money. And I think it was $26.8 million of that 39 of the case that they were doing was like mismanaged funds by the advisors. That's just like, what are we talking about here? Look at all that money. Like, that's so much money. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, less than 1% are millionaires in Fidelity's accounts.
Listen, all I'm saying is this. If you're not, as a person, and this is just a practical, throw this out there. If you're not looking at becoming your own bank, if you're not sitting and watching Money Monday, shameless plug, if you're not sitting and actually watching and listening and understanding how to control your own money, but giving your money to these clowns, it's a problem.
You can.
Remember, they says you're safe in the bank, right? Remember, that's what everyone says. They're like, my money's safe. I'm good. I trust them.
Mhm.
Well, here we go.
And you know what I noticed, and this, what I noticed the last 8 days is that more and more people who are not even educated on a lot of how finances work, right, are starting to really um, be more open to having conversations, at least the initial conversations. And so this is where I would encourage anyone. So real quick, let me bring this in. Anyone that's associated in the firm with Cam and Rico and I to really get out in the community and start really start having these conversations, right? Because like I said, the last 8 days, I've noticed more and more people who are just like, it wasn't until like I still don't really understand how things work, but they're willing to sit down and have
Mm-hmm.
they're willing to sit down and have a conversation, right? And so, like I said, start there. That's the foundation. Have those conversations and make it happen, man. Because too many people are losing out. Too many people are uneducated. Too many people are wanting things but don't have a plan to get there. And just placing the money in banks or Wells Fargo, etc. That's
That's not,
not the play.
that's not going to get it. Tech will not get it.
From the General Davis. All right. So as we roll into the last article, so as you guys know, we try and give you a well-rounded look at what's going on in the world of finance and wealth and things like that. So first we talked about stocks and what's going on in the tech industry. Now we're talking about companies that handle your money, your real estate, your mortgages, things like that. Now we're going to talk about crypto.
I just sprinkled a little with alluded. I alluded a little bit. Yeah.
Rico's the master of connecting dots. So that being said, the last article that we chose today was to talk about Mastercard is starting to end their partnership with crypto giant Binance. So for those of you that don't know, Mastercard was kind of one of the front runners that tried to jump out and be like, "Oh, we're going to support crypto." They were trying to do all this stuff as far as allowing people kind of a general, more liquid access to their crypto. It was mainly used in other countries, overseas, Latin America, Middle East, things like that, where crypto's used a little bit more heavily as far as like on day-to-day type things. But with everything going on with Binance, they have decided to pool, and so has Visa actually has decided to pool their relationship right now. So MasterCard will no longer offer it in Latin America or the Middle East, as well as Visa, will not offer it in Europe through Binance. And so it says that only a tiny portion of their users, supposedly less than 1%, will be impacted. But the whole thing right now that you have to think about is that it's not about who is using it right now. It's about who is going to use it in the next 5 years. And so the fact that MasterCard and Visa are willing to sever that relationship when crypto is starting to get regulated, it's starting to be used by more people. I mean, what was that thing we found, Glenn? Like 1 out of 4 people in America has at one point owned Bitcoin or
Right.
owns Bitcoin. So, whether it's a 1,000th of a Bitcoin, but the fact that they're willing to pull away from Binance like that honestly just doesn't speak to the longevity of that company to begin with. So yeah, what'd you guys think?
Go, Rico.
I just
Maybe that was my. I don't know. Maybe that was my intro.
This thing's too much fun.
I think the crypto space is a very strange place right now.
Super strange.
I believe that FTX was just a foreshadowing. I think FTX was a scapegoat for a much bigger thing that was going on. Binance had a hand in that as well. So now Binance has no one to run to because they could have leaned on FTX, and if they would have unified and worked together, if they were still, present, then it actually would have helped them. And so took out FTX, and they helped in that and turned over information, and now it's back on you, and you have no one to help you, right? So it's just it's a strange space. Mastercard and Visa, they stepped out of the way. So I look for, I guess, next up would be Elon to use Discovery, and Discovery, utilizes that and runs it through his payment system on X.
Yeah.
I look for something very different to happen to occur. When you have big players like that are stepping out of the market, right, and getting out of the way, it opens up new space and market share for more people. So I can definitely see Elon Musk getting in there and finding some way to utilize this and said, well, Mastercard and Visa won't help you out, but we'll help you out with this payment service over here or whatever. So
he's gonna play Captain Savo. Ooh.
That's what I'm believing, man. And so that's basically what I see. Binance is in trouble, though. I will say that because they snitched on FTX, right? Then they kind of held up a lot of stuff and then gave the paperwork to get Friedman out of there. So now it's on them. Now we're going to see if they can last, if they can wait for water. That's my take.
I enjoyed this read because like crypto is a lane where I have yet to invest in, right? And so I'm kind of like I'm a student to the game. I learned a lot from both of you guys in the crypto space, and so whenever I read articles, or you guys send me articles, like I'm always reading it because from a very student aspect of it, I was just like, yo, this is it's very interesting. Now, as I was reading it from a leadership standpoint, I was kind of thinking like, if I'm sitting on the board, MasterCard or Visa, right, and I'm seeing these legalities happening, and I'm thinking, where do we as a company, where will we be in the next 5-10 years, right? Partnerships, collaborations, all that type of stuff. And so, based off of them knowing what they know about that industry as a whole, it makes sense for them to pull out, right? Because the investment in that relationship may not be worth it just may not be worth the return on investment 5-10 years from now, right?
I think that's myopic, though. I'm going to be honest, because as you start to shift, right, as the actual economy starts to shift to digital currency, you won't be able to go back and revive that relationship.
Thanks.
Right.
When Binance grows and they 5 to 10x in the next future years, because retail investors or Generation Z people that are 10 years old right now get into this space and all they've ever known is digital currencies, and you're growing at a super rapid rate, rapid rate. You have to think about like India. India is becoming the fastest growing continent. It'll be the most populous continent, right, or subcontinent country in the world, right, past China. And so we're helping to build their middle class. Their middle class is all hip to technology. And so that's me when I think about that, because Bahrain is where they said in the Middle East that they're not doing it anymore or whatever. So you got to just sit and think, did they pull it back for a bigger play, or if they did pull it back totally? Because if they pulled it back totally, I just me personally, I don't see how that benefits them. You should have just stuck around for the long haul. I know that, finance is in some trouble right now, but digital currency isn't going anywhere either. So
I think for two major companies to back out, like there's a lot of information that's not being displayed. I mean, obviously, right? And so, I think in those rooms you have to make that decision, or that decision that, hey, is this risk on pulling out or staying in? Do we feel that is worth it? And so hopefully they are having those conversations. Like,
I hope so, because it sets precedent. Because if you're going to pull out on Binance, you may not be able to cultivate that relationship with the next Binance. If Binance falls on the sword and it's gone too, then there'll be someone else that pops up, right? And then in that instance, Uphold is coming up very fast as well. Then if that's going, then what? What do you do then? Because what if they don't want to create that relationship with you because of what happened with Binance? So it sets a precedent. So you got to be very careful not to, I'm sure they're having those conversations, but I don't know. There's a lot of old money people still in in control of these things, 70, 80-year-old guys that are still like these CEOs, that are old and their way of life is passing away.
Yeah.
Excuse me, not trying to be rude, but just like them, their way of life is moving on.
Yeah. No, yeah. What was that question? I seen a question pop up from
So your buddy Jesse said, could we argue that it opens it up for the Bitcoin market to crash?
Possibly. Bitcoin's it'll never go anywhere. With Vanguard and BlackRock looking to have ETFs
Yeah.
on Bitcoin will never go anywhere. Once Vanguard and BlackRock, which own everything, you think companies, Vanguard and BlackRock own everything in the world, literally. I think BlackRock has $9 trillion under management. It's something ridiculous. So
super ridiculous.
If they're buying for a Bitcoin ETF, it's not going anywhere. It won't crash.
Yep.
I don't know about that one. It's possible. It's possible. But I just look at the signs, right? When you got big, huge companies like that, $1 trillion companies that manage trillions of dollars that basically run the world, looking to make it an ETF, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Jesse Garcia, good question. Appreciate
Good question.
you.
Good question. Thank you for asking. Appreciate it.
Not to mention, there is no loyalty amongst thieves, and that's what the credit cards are. All right, so we are. So as we wrap up, we appreciate you guys joining us first and foremost. We know it's Friday. We know y'all got things to do, but we do this for you guys to begin with. We want to make sure that we can share as much of our knowledge and grow with you as much as possible. Nobody knows it all. And so we try and share as much as we can. And that's why we enjoy your questions as well. We have even had questions that we were like, yo, we're going to come back and talk about that next episode, which is perfectly fine. We have no problem doing that. So as we wrap up, Rico, talk about all the things we have going on this week. And then I'm going to wrap it up with a trailer for the L3 perspective, just to kind of show y'all some of the things we talked about as Glenn and I start to get season two going.
Okay. Guys, obviously you're on Financial Fridays. Appreciate you guys being here. Share this with 5 people that need to get this information out. We appreciate you. Now, moving on to next week, it will be Money Mondays. You'll see it come up here. Money Mondays is ourselves again. We will be on Instagram Live. Make sure that you hop on there with us. Money Mondays is where we basically narrow it down and talk about our fiduciary responsibilities. You want to make sure to catch that to find out what you should be shifting to if the market is doing what it's doing, right? Tuesdays, L3 Perspective, we're going to get to that. Obviously, these guys, wonderful, wonderful podcast. You want to make sure that you're subscribing, that you're liking, that you pass that on. Life, love, and leadership. You're going to want to lock into that. Wednesdays, we have Wealth Wednesday with myself and Chris Belloso. That is our conversations about things that are applied to just, the Latino perspective and breaking down what it means to us in that side of the world. Wednesday night, also, we have the Growth Hour with Lentrina Broadnex. So that is phenomenal podcast that is coming from different perspectives, from homemakers, people, moms, stay-at-home mom, all kinds of different perspectives. So you want to make sure that you catch that. Thursday, we have the Taylor Talk with myself and Carlton Bryant. This is just talk from another perspective, right? We call it cut from a different cloth, a higher level cloth. This is conversations on finance, conversations on things that are going on in the community, various different topics. Unedited, we're just going in. You got to want to catch that. And then, of course, next Friday, catch us back here on Financial Friday. Passed it to my man, Ken.
All right. So as we wrap up, first of all, I just want to thank anybody and everybody who has watched the L3 Perspective. We have over 13,000 views of all our content on there, killing it. So if you haven't subscribed already, go check it out. G, before I play this trailer and kind of take us out, what you got?
No, I just want to say thanks to everybody tuning in and watching. Thanks for your support. Thanks for continuously showing up, asking good questions, engaging with us. Like, this is a platform where we're going to continue to add value and build a community, right? And so keep doing what y'all doing. We love y'all. That's it. I look forward to seeing the trailer.
See y'all later. I am all about talking about emotions and how you feel. And
Right.
if you don't like something, please tell us.
Something that I also need to be asking myself too is, are the rooms that I'm in or not in, do they align up with any of those things?
Yeah.
Right? If you take the letters in the word listen and you spell the word silent, it's those same letters.
It's the same letters.